It's 4 o'clock news, and our top stories are: Kenya confirms more 25 COVID-19 cases. Government to cater for testing in quarantine. Kenyans who travel to India for treating expected to jet back to the country. ODM, the whips, Narok Senator. Now, Kenya confirms more 25 COVID-19 cases. 25 more people have tested positive for the novel COVID-19 disease, with Nairobi accounting for 17 cases, Kajiado and Wajir 2 each, and Isiolo, Migori, Mombasa and Nakuru 1 each. This was announced by the Health Chief Administration Secretary Rashid Aman. The CAS also announced that 7 more patients have been discharged, bringing the total number of recoveries to 197.
Statistics for the last 24 hours. Out of 632 samples tested over the last 24 hours, 25 people have tested positive for coronavirus disease. This brings the total number of those who have tested positive to 607. This number is growing, as you can see, and we must do all that we can to stop it from escalating. Fellow Kenyans, from this number, 22 are Kenyans, 1 a Ugandan, 1 a Tanzanian, and 1 a Chinese national. Distribution of these cases is as follows: 17 are from Nairobi, 2 from Wajir, 2 from Kajiado County, and 1 each from Mombasa, Migori, Isiolo, and Nakuru. Isiolo now becomes the latest county to record a COVID-19 case. This brings to 18 the number of counties so far affected.
Government to cater for testing and quarantine. Relief for Kenyans as government commitment to cater for the testing in quarantine. Speaking on behalf of the government, Dr. Rashid Aman assured Kenyans that the government will carry the burden for testing in quarantine. The Health Chief Administration Secretary encouraged Kenyans to avail themselves for testing now that it was free of charge.
We know that initially people were a little bit reluctant to present themselves for the mass testing and even to report cases because of the fear that once you are positive, you are put in quarantine, and so are all members of your household. And they were afraid also of the costs of that quarantine. The Cabinet Secretary yesterday made it clear that testing and quarantine costs will be borne by the government. Therefore, it is important that people do come out for the mass testing, because it is the only way that we can be able to fight this virus when we know where it is hiding. That is when we can go in there and fight it. And the only way we can know where it is hiding is by coming out and being able to test.
Kenyans who travel to India for treatment expected to jet back in the country. In other news, the Kenyan government has made plans to evacuate Kenyans in India who had traveled for medical treatment. This comes after a series of interventions from the citizens and leaders. We implore the government to evacuate its citizens who are stranded in India. They will be required to subject themselves to self-quarantine at their homes. ODM de-whips Narok Senator. The Orange Democratic Movement Party has de-whipped Narok Senator Ledama Olekina from the County Accounts and Investment Committee 3 days after he was elected the chairman of the committee. This comes after the party accused its Narok Senator for allowing committee party members affiliated to Deputy President Ruto to propose his name and vote for him against Professor Sam Ongeri, who was ODM's preferred candidate. In his defense, the vocal Mau leader said that James Orengo's letter has no basis and has to be treated with contempt. And how COVID-19 is impacting the world. Confirmed coronavirus cases have surpassed 4.3 million worldwide. According to Johns Hopkins University, more than 297,000 people have died from the virus, while over 1.5 million have recovered. And now to international news. The Obamas will make virtual commencement speeches. Graduates will miss out on a traditional ceremony this year. However, big names are helping grads celebrate at home. Barack and Michelle Obama, the former US President and First Lady, will participate in a series of virtual events this week. pandemic, including the nation's entire class of 2020. Reading from one of his tweets, Obama writes, and I quote, "I've always loved joining commencements, the culmination of years' hard work and sacrifice. Even if we can't get together in person this year, Michelle and I are excited to celebrate the nationwide class of 2020 and recognize this milestone with you and your loved ones." End of quote. And to our business news. Longhorn Publishers opens free portal for quarantined learners. Book publisher Longhorn opened free portal for quarantined learners. With the majority of schools in Kenya shut as part of the measures to limit the potential spread of COVID-19, Longhorn, a publishing firm, has launched a free learning portal for quarantined. It's now time to look at what's happening in the world of sports. I'm Muganda Miriam. Former Berlin Marathon champion Gladys Cherono has recovered from a muscle injury, which saw her fail to defend her title in the German capital last year. Cherono is still optimistic that she will weather the pandemic and be standing at the starting line in a rescheduled London Marathon on October 4th or New York Marathon on November 1st. Cherono set her best time in Berlin of 2 hours 18 minutes 11 seconds in 2019. In other news, UEFA's medical committee has said that it's definitely possible to restart the football season, which has been ruined by the COVID-19 pandemic for over 1 month. This comes when French league has been called to an end. France Prime Minister Edouard Philippe said professional football and other league sports will not be allowed to return before September. Finally, FC Barcelona midfielder Otto Melo has ruled out speculated move to Italy giants Juventus and now insists that his future is still at Camp Nou. That's what we heard from our sports desk. My name is Muganda Miriam.